She looked like the kind of person social media was built for. Bright smile, luxury trips, rooftop parties, late-night city lights. In photos, Kayla Hodgson looked fearless, free, and completely alive. Her Instagram was filled with energy. Beaches in Tulum, parties in Miami, nights in New York, laughter with friends. To most people, she represented youth, confidence, and possibility. But behind one of those glowing photos, someone else was watching, scrolling, obsessing, comparing, and eventually destroying. On July 13, 2022, police officers entered Kayla's apartment in Tamarack, Florida, and walked into a nightmare. Blood covered the floor. Blood stained the walls. Her small dog Dior was trapped inside, frightened and alone, waiting for a voice that would never return. Kayla Hodgson was dead. She had been stabbed 37 times, and investigators would soon discover that this was not a random attack. It was the final explosion of a digital obsession that had been building for more than a year. Kayla was often reduced online to a simple label, bottle girl. But the people who loved her described someone completely different. They said she was magnetic, the type of person who could walk into a room and immediately make strangers feel welcome. Her cousin later told the court that Kayla had a rare ability to make insecure people feel seen. If someone sat alone in the corner, Kayla would talk to them. If someone was struggling, she would help them. She was loyal, protective, and deeply connected to her family. Her nightlife work was not just about parties and money. It was about energy, connection, presence. She made people feel important, and that light attracted attention, including the wrong kind. Sakina Thompson first entered Kayla's orbit through a man named Terrence. What started as jealousy slowly transformed into something darker. Investigators later uncovered months of messages, fake accounts, stalking behavior, and emotional fixation. This was not simple anger. This was obsession. Sakina watched Kayla's life through a screen for over a year. Every photo, every trip, every tagged post, every interaction with Terrence became another wound in her mind. Social media turned comparison into poison. The more Sakina watched Kayla, the more she seemed to hate what Kayla represented. Freedom, confidence, beauty, attention. The very things Sakina felt she was losing in her own life. And while Kayla was surrounded by friends, co-workers, cousins, and supporters, Sakina appeared increasingly isolated. That contrast became impossible to ignore during the trial. Kayla's courtroom benches were filled with grieving loved ones. Sakina often sat alone. No support system, no warmth, just silence. Investigators later revealed that Sakina's obsession escalated far beyond social media jealousy. She allegedly used prank calls, anonymous messages, and fake online identities to psychologically torment Kayla before ever touching a weapon. The phone became her first weapon. The knife became the second. In July 2022, Sakina boarded a flight from New York to Florida. That decision changed multiple lives forever. Prosecutors argued that this was not impulsive. It was planned. Surveillance footage showed Sakina arriving at the airport, checking into a nearby hotel, and moving through the city with purpose. Then came one of the strangest details in the entire case: the shoes. A resident near Kayla's apartment later described seeing a woman dressed in black wearing expensive designer sneakers. Investigators compared surveillance footage with Sakina's social media photos and identified the shoes as Prada Cloudbust sneakers, worth around $1,200. The same shoes that appeared online as a symbol of status and image became evidence in a murder investigation. That irony perfectly reflected the entire tragedy. A crime fueled by appearance, comparison, and obsession eventually collapsed under the weight of digital evidence. But the most powerful evidence was something far more human. DNA under Kayla's fingernails. Even in her final moments, Kayla fought back. That DNA told investigators a story no lie could erase. It showed struggle, resistance, survival instinct. Kayla did not quietly disappear. She left behind the evidence that would identify her killer. Investigators also discovered signs that Sakina tried to clean the crime scene afterward. Prosecutors said she changed clothes, moved through the apartment carefully, and attempted to hide evidence before leaving. But panic was mixed with calculation. The crime scene felt staged and chaotic at the same time. At trial, Sakina Thompson claimed she acted in self-defense. She testified that Kayla attacked her first. Then came the question prosecutors could not ignore. How does someone stab another person 37 times in self-defense? How does someone clean up afterward? How does someone walk away instead of calling for help? Jurors listened carefully, but the physical evidence painted a far different picture. The wounds were excessive. The violence was personal. And Sakina's calm demeanor during graphic testimony deeply disturbed many people in the courtroom. Some family members later said what haunted them most was not just the murder itself, but the lack of remorse afterward. During victim impact statements, Kayla's loved ones spoke directly to the woman who had taken her life. They described Kayla as light, not perfect, not famous, but genuinely good. One relative said Sakina spent years staring at Kayla online because she wanted what Kayla had. Yet instead of building her own happiness, she chose to destroy someone else's. Another painful truth also emerged during sentencing. The only person who truly benefited from the toxic relationship was the man at the center of it all. While two women destroyed each other emotionally and physically, he walked away alive. And then there were the silent victims. Dior, Kayla's little dog, reportedly declined after her death and eventually died not long afterward. Family members believed the animal never fully recovered from losing its owner. Then there was Sakina's child, born while his mother sat behind bars, a child who entered the world carrying the consequences of hatred, violence, and emotional destruction before ever speaking his first word. But Kayla's family refused to let the story end only with tragedy. Her cousin Andrew, a military veteran, reportedly turned grief into action by helping teach self-defense classes for women. For the family, healing meant transforming pain into protection for others. And maybe that became Kayla's real legacy. Not the Instagram photos, not the headlines, not the courtroom footage, but the reminder that kindness leaves echoes long after violence ends. This case was never just about jealousy. It was about what happens when insecurity becomes obsession, and when social media stops being entertainment and starts becoming emotional surveillance. A block button, a telegram message, a tagged photo. Tiny digital moments eventually became part of a homicide investigation stretching 1,500 miles across the country. Kayla Hodgson lost her life because someone allowed envy to consume their humanity. But even after death, Kayla's light remained stronger than the darkness that tried to erase it. And in the end, that may be the one thing her killer could never destroy.